This is
Break and grind. Break and grind. Break and grind.
one of the hottest up-and-coming DJs in the city.
Swamp Thing DJ.
DJ Swamp Thing.
Break and grind.
And of course, keeping you in touch with the city. The always class. Tiffany. Yeah.
Break and grind. Break and grind.
You turn it up. I've been riding smoke coming out the sunroof, man. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I got shows going up in and out of state, man. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
I got flows running circles round most in the game. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
When you get the love on the road home, that's a real thing. Hey, I got women getting mad because they ain't getting close. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I see the ones that work the least always be doing the most. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
It's a struggle when I post. I got too much to promote. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
These rappers known in the city, but outside they a ghost. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Boy, it's a real thing. That's a real thing. Boy, it's a real thing.
Like, man, I be really making plays. DJs running back, so I'm really getting played. We really surfing on a different wave. We really working more efficient ways. We really in the house party like we getting played. They really run their mouth off and ain't got shit to say. I really think about quitting some days and then I quit because I think about the shit I really get to say. I've been riding smoke coming out the sunroof, man. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I got shows going up in and out of state, man. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
I got flows running circles round most in the game. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
When you get the love on the road home, don't feel the same. That's a real thing.
Man, it's a real
Hey,
thing.
I got women getting mad because they ain't getting close. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I see the ones that work the least always be doing the most. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
It's a struggle when I post. I got too much to promote. That's a real thing.
Man, it's a real thing.
These rappers known in the city, but outside they a ghost. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real
I've been looking for the real thing, past the pop a pill phase, drinking on a numb pain. I've been trying to shoot my shot, can't find the gun range, goes near the end range, bang bang, squad goes, what the fuck it is, man, smoking like it's horse pipe, drinking like a fish now. Unc told me I'm the shit, guess that's why they piss now, cooking up praise. I just flick the wrist, water whip now, lights in the rear view, but I won't slow down. I've been on my own, so I've been thinking, while we live our whole life for the weekend. What you amounting to, why you peeking? Money talking, but your heart is speaking. Cushion's my aroma, I be freaking. Life got me diving off the deep end. On edge, start about even. Life no longer suck, they all be
I've been riding smoke coming out the sunroof, man. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I got shows going up in and out of state, man. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
I got flows running circles round most in the game. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
When you get the love on the road home, don't feel the same. That's a real thing.
Man, it's a real
Hey,
thing.
I got women getting mad because they ain't getting close. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I see the ones that work the least always be doing the most. That's a real thing.
Boy,
That's a real thing. It's a struggle when I post. I got too much to promote. That's a real thing.
Man, it's a real thing.
These rappers known in the city, but outside they a ghost. That's a real thing.
Boy, it's a real thing.
1800, it's a real thing. King job, baby, I'm a real king. Shorty, I take you at school, walk you down to the office, sign your ass up for drill team. Shit bag, baby, it's a real thing. Check the conglomerate, it's a real team. I'm at work like my name's Sam Rothstein. Ask Cash, we got the keys to the city, man. Set shut, we about to start a whole room. Start shooting smoke coming out the sunroof. Bad bitties with ass titties and some intellect. We money getters that never tolerate disrespect. Ghost, don't try to knock me cause you not me, and when you try to copy it sound sloppy as usual. It ain't gon' make me, ain't gon' break me, and maybe make you look shady and sorta like you just hate me cause you ain't me little bitch. Ray laugh sound like I'm outer space. 2 cups in extended cake with a laser on it at the table, sitting with a space chicken on my dinner plate. Sauce, baby, that's a real thing. I got my apron on, come and kiss the real king. I'm no sleep with the hustle. Use music like muscle, flex up because I'm living the real thing. Network, bush, neck worth. Best way to do that, get a check first. Red rum like race, hit your neck first. Got this game full of queens, better check it first. 08 or 10, we up next first. Sex game by the hit, we on deck first. Ask London where we headed for the next turn. Baby, I'm just trying to see you make your leg work.
Everybody smoke coming out the sunroof, man, that's a real thing. I got shows going up in and out of state, man, that's a real thing. I got flows running circles around most in the game, that's a real thing. When you get the love on the road, homes don't feel the same, that's a real thing. Hey, I got women getting mad because they ain't getting close, that's a real thing. I see the ones that work the least always be doing the most, that's a real thing. It's a struggle when I post, I got too much to promote, that's a real thing. These rappers known in the city, but outside they a ghost, that's a real thing.
Nothing is the same, things happen each day. Everything can change with the chances we take. You gave me your word, good luck and be safe. The soul still remains. Let me start at age 10. My mother got the crib from Section 8 and changed things. My life is like a movie, no commercial, mainstream. A story out the dirt, how a peasant became king. Dropped my mixtape at 18 and I still have the same dream like I've had it since age 3. And I'm stuck in the same scene, wake up sicker than gangrene, thinking I gotta change things. Not how I change flows, somehow I change moves faster than I change clothes. Most people change up, but I kept the same goals. Even though I'm staying solid, I just watch them change on me. Ironic how we never stay the same. We evolve, it all remains silent, longest rank isn't poor. In time, life will show you who was really there, waiting each day. Not to hold the past against you, look the way that things change. I hope you left some common sense inside your memory bank. Don't forget about who you is inside the midst that things change. In time, life your soul still remains, but things change. Shorty say she never gon' stress you, things change. The minute that she told you she was pregnant, things change. Your homies always talking about winning, things change. The second one your homies make it big, things change. I went to school and earned a scholarship and things changed. Dean's list but on probation for a year, things changed. I thought everything was gravy at the crib, but things changed. Came home, heard my mother, I got sick and things changed. I pray to God he hear my voice, I understand that things change. Please forgive me each day from my memory bank. You gave me your word, good luck and be safe. The soul still remains. Things change. Things change. Things change. Things change.
How are you?
Whoa, Breaking Ground Radio with your man DJ Suave, man. We're mainstream and local collab. It's going down, man. It's Thursday, first of the month. Y'all here play that Blind Thugs by now. Y'all go get that on, man. I play that every month, the first of the month, every time, man. Got to. That song will never get old. What's good, man? Hope everybody's doing well. Of course, my sister in radio, my homegirl, over there on the other side. Tiffany L in the building.
What's up? What's up?
What's good, man? You all right?
Yeah, I got my natural hair today.
I see you. You've been rocking out for the last couple of weeks,
Yeah,
though.
but I went supernatural today on some like I ain't even gonna twist it. I ain't gonna nothing. Tomorrow I'm gonna let it be what it is.
I ain't mad at that at all. So of course we got another nice show. And I'm really excited about this one, just because of who is coming. This young lady, who I assume is pretty much still in her mid-20s, I believe. She's coming up on her third spoken word album and book. She's an educator as well. And I'm really excited. And of course, Tiffany, you already know I don't do well with names, so I'm not going to try to attempt it. I will let her.
Send it phonetically.
That's what I need to start doing. Can you break it up for me? How many syllables? You know, just really dumb it down for me. You know, I remember your face for days, but names I'm terrible. So I'm really excited to have her come through and talk about that. Like I said earlier, if you guys follow me on Swamp Thing DJ, we're going to be playing the new Model J EP in its entirety. It is a very well put together EP in my opinion. Very soulful. I don't want to compare it to a sister, but I do hear it. I do hear Janae Aiko in that a little bit, but it's okay. You know, the love is still real. It's very well put together. So right after Who's Next track, which is by Orlando Jones, Columbus from Orlando Jones, will play that in its entirety throughout the show here. And I would be remiss if I didn't call on the big brother that just came by just now, Free DJ Zone, DJ Lane Love in the building. What's up, big boy?
Hey, what's good, everybody?
What it be like?
I'm good, man. I got the invite, so I said, let me come down here and chill with my family.
Of course.
A little while, you know?
Yeah. How was your day today?
Oh, man, it was productive.
Was it?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Good.
Of course, we got you as the acquisition now and DJ, so the brand is growing.
Yep. Definitely.
You know, we get ready for this conference coming up, so that's going to be real big.
Yep.
But, I just love what my city is looking like right now, man. I mean, a lot of creative people doing big things.
Doing big things.
I just want to see them keep going.
Doing big things, man. I'm telling you, I say it all the time. I think that this summer is going to be really big for the city, especially in the creative area, in the creatives era. That's going to be the summer's going to be really big, man. I think a lot of shows are going to happen. I think people are going to make it to whatever that next level is for them. I think a lot of people are going to make it there. I just feel it.
Our city is finally spreading the monies. we about them dollars.
When a little stingy.
So we finally spreading the money.
All right. Tiffany, what's on the subject? What are we talking about today?
Well, now that you've seen the movie, we can talk.
I never said I seen it. I said I was going to.
You didn't see it?
My time is killing me. I know. But
people started talking about it on like, oh yeah, definitely.
I was reading the reviews.
Let's talk about
Yeah, because I read a lot of reviews.
You said
I didn't see it.
I'm gonna see it again.
No, I did not say that. I did not. Read those.
Okay, I gave him a deadline to make sure that it was done.
I know, man. I know.
Rewind, what was it, last year, Get Out came out, and I was like all geared up, like I can't wait to talk about all the hidden meanings in this. When did you see Get Out?
It was quite a while after.
Several months after.
Probably.
It was all the way over.
Wow.
I think we had left shows.
I won't. We leaving you lagging on the content.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Okay. My whole piece to this piece is that I do trending topics and we talk about what's. This is happening. I mean, you black man, you don't even know what it means.
I don't. I can't even apologize because.
To follow that up, they was just talking about on the Charlamagne show, on the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne was talking about he went and took his babies to go see A Wrinkle in Time. That's the one that had.
Oh yeah, Oprah, yeah.
And he said that it is the best daddy-daughter film, and that man should go and take his daughters to go see that film.
That's a lot coming from Charlamagne because I can't stand him.
Let me take Ashley. We could go, double. We could go together as a big group, and now I'm just just looking at you.
You know what the comeback is though, you know, because I used to be an anchor and I used to have co-hosts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's what I have you for.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's like about the movie. And
I mean, I get that.
Rules, you got your TMZ, you got
I appreciate you having my back there, bro. DJ Love shit. That's hilarious. Yep. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I can say.
You right.
I really don't. But it's all good.
Just trying to. I mean, $2 Tuesday. I mean, $5 Tuesday.
I know it's not. It's hard, man. I'm telling you, it's hard. I need to, and I will. I just can't tell you when because I don't know for myself.
You can pick your tickets in advance, so you ain't gotta mess with the crowd.
I know how the movies work.
I'll let you know. Maybe you thought you was gonna get there and it was gonna be crowded, so you ain't want to mess with all that.
Well, I'll tell you, the first couple of weekends, that was definitely no no for me. I definitely don't like going to the movies with all those people.
We seen it on the fourth day, but we picked tickets several days earlier, and we walked right in there with a big ass bag full of.
I was about to say that. She sounds like she got to the side. So I started frying chicken around 4 o'clock.
So started frying chicken around 4 o'clock.
That bag was serious as shit. Right. And 5 and below, the kids was just grabbing it like they had jobs. They was in there like, oh yeah, $5. Like, bro, you got money in here.
I'm telling you.
It's like, well, Dad has said we could have $5, and I was like, A, where's your $5? And B, all this shit is more than $5.
Right.
We walked out of there $40, like in the hole, like, oh, okay, well, this was supposed to be cheap, guys. This was supposed to be cheap.
I'm surprised that they didn't really.
They had snacks and soda.
I'm surprised that after all this time, they still haven't really come down on that type of thing. They got to know people still doing that shit. Like bringing food and stuff like that.
It's expensive because they know that because they got to make money off the few people that are going to buy it. I don't know.
I'm really surprised at that.
$11 for a box for like the little carton of popcorn and a drink. $11.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I believe it.
I could be the monitor though. I mean, even though you can't legally search somebody's
right.
I just want to see that reaction.
Right. Well, hold on. Look. Why do I smell barbecue?
The kids wasn't with me, I would have had to go light. Like, I would have been right with you. I would have had a whole 6-pack. They got the whole recliner seats, and you put your feet all the way up. Yes.
Oh, man.
This is off the chain.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Yes. But yeah, so but I know we got that. Plus, on a serious note, we're going to talk about the food stamp thing too, because there's a lot of people that's affected with that.
Absolutely. And then I guess this continuing to have this conversation about educators getting guns rather than us just I don't know, taking assault rifles off of of things that people are allowed to purchase. And then the other good thing though, to go along with that, you have certain companies that are pulling out from working with the NRA. And I think that's only because we've started publishing who all is affiliated with them and who's all getting dough. And now they like, damn, I don't want everybody hating on us and stop coming to Walmart. Mm-hmm. So I know that Walmart is going to stop selling guns and Dick's is going to stop selling assault.
We're
making some progress.
Yeah.
Broke that up because I didn't know what she was going with.
Yeah, I saw that the other day too, because there were people that were saying what makes a difference not selling just the assault rifles, because they're still selling guns, but I felt the same way what you just said. I still think that's forward movement. Might not be the biggest step, but it's a step nonetheless. So
at this point, we're going to take some positive steps, because every time you turn around, there is something else negative in the news. And Lord, it would be nice to be able to click on maybe like, oh, some good things happen around the world.
Yeah.
That would be nice. And I feel like the rest of the world thinks we're clowns. And to this point, I watched a comedy special, and I'm not going to remember his name, so that sucks. I will have to look it up. But a comedy special guy who's on Netflix, and he's from another country, I think Malaysia. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of funny, but Malaysia is like the Compton of where he lives, and that's kind of how he relates to it. And you can tell just by the things that he's talking about. Mm-hmm. And he talks about his country and how they relate to other countries, this, that, and the third. And somebody was like, we're from New York, and he was like, where's that at? Oh, that never happens to you because you're so used to like everything being Americanized, and we know where shit is, and we know what everybody's talking about. But there was a lot in this comedy special that I knew nothing about, in the sense of the things that we give a fuck about over here are nothing to them. They're fucking retarded like things. Like they think we're stupid. Like the whole country, the whole world looks at America and this fool we have as a president as like, look at the Western side. They just fools and sex all the time. Now everybody's gay. Like, I mean, and that was really like he made a couple jokes, and he was like, and it basically made it seem like they don't have gay people, or it's very like, what are you doing right now? Because we've made it so acceptable, and not to hate on anybody who's gay. I have several gay friends, live your life, whatever. But we've made our world so acceptable that no one has any standards anymore. It's just, I mean, and that was just kind of what I got from this special. Okay. I thought that was really profound, considering, we always think we're the cream of the crop over here. Right. If you live in the U.S., you live in life, but are we really?
Well, other countries are still trying to trace the American dream, so,
you still got people fighting again.
Yeah, you got people around here.
But is that because it looks so easy and it looks so fun, but then you get over here and they shoot your black child?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other thing.
To be honest, since we've had this new presidential campaign, how has the quality of life really changed? I mean, when you really look at it, of course we can complain about this president. I'm not 445 by any stretch of the imagination, but how has our quality of life really changed? We still go to work every day. I mean, there's no martial law. I mean, the police still patrol the hood. Right. We still eating 3 times a day. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you got to not feed into media as much. And one more thing I want to say, you want to be real careful about gun control. Very careful. Because one thing about the criminal element, they don't care about laws. No. They're going to get guns.
They're going to get it regardless.
Yeah, that's true. Said the most profound thing, even though he was trying to be funny. He said, one thing about you not having a gun and going into a club, the killers outside don't care. You know what I'm saying? So basically, you not having guns and not being able to protect yourself, they don't care.
That'll make a difference, right?
So now you unarmed and you can't protect yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Yes, and then we'll come right back. Yeah, we'll definitely come. Yeah, we got time.
I have so much to
we got time.
Because I'd like to go to work and not be like, oh, a 17-year-old is angry today and feels like taking a shot because I'm over here teaching niggas how to read. Like, that makes me angry. Yeah. Like, I'm just out here doing my job and doing more than I have to and doing more than I should. And now I get shot because you mad.
I mean, that's a good point too. I'm with it. So we're gonna take it's not. I'm saying break, but it's just our Who's Next at 6:30. So our Who's Next song is by the homie Orlando Jones. The song is called Adam Scorn. So shout out to the homeboy Orlando Jones, man. I'm gonna try to get a little live for you up while your song's playing. And then we have our featured guest of the evening. She had just walked in. So when we come back from that, we'll get started with that. And we go rock, man. We got the homie Lane Love in the building. Hey. Tiffany Love, breaking around. Let's go.
Oh yeah, Steve's on October. I told her,
are you flexing?
2 guys want me, that's a 2-for-1 special. I won't hold you when I leave, now it takes that conversation. You might shoot me with a screen and you might say it like a weapon. Baby skin deep, tell my name and leave a message. I like Jessica and Keisha, I like Bunnies, Booker, Becky. I might love when I'm in bed with you, only if you let me. She stay down and know it's coming, that's the only time she kiss me. Friends kissing on her knees, baby, watch my mind just set me. Girl, I put you down mine like your body never left me. Sorta like a sentimental. Baby daddy, Debbie, girl, you should've never left me. If I'm playing with your heart, then it's sorta how you did me. Hey, with Nicky, I can feel it.
I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I'm a wild boy. I feel like Mowgli in a jungle. Let's never fumble. That thing down a minute. Double tail tight. Don't be lying. I get when you fight. You a hater. That be smiling. You so keen. You be scratching. Please don't cross that line with me. I say you're so ahead of me. Red bull my energy. If you want pride, I give you wings. If she want pipe, I give her dreams. Black mama, that's slithery. But better she snapping me. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I saw I hate when snakes act friendly. Oh yeah, Steve's on the I told her.
Are you flexing?
Two guys, one me, that's a 2 for 1 special. I won't hold you when I leave, now it takes that conversation. You might shoot me with a screen and you might say like a weapon. Beauty skin deep, tell my name and leave a message. I like Richie, cause and Keisha. I like Bunnies, Booker, Becky. I might love when I'm in bed with you, only if you let me. She stay down and know it's coming, that's the only time she kiss me. French kissing on her knees, baby, why can't I just set me? Girl, I put you down mine like your body never left me. Sorta like a sentimental. Baby daddy, Debbie, girl, you should've never left me. If I'm playing with your heart, then it's sorta how you did me. Hey, what make me acting friendly? I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I'm a wild boy. I feel like Mowgli in a jungle. Let's never fumble. That thing down a minute. Double tail tight. Don't be lying. I get when you fight. You a hater. That be smiling. You so keen. You be scratching. Please don't cross that line with me. I say you're so ahead of me. Red bull my energy. If you want pride, I give you wings. If she want pipe, I give her dreams. Black mama, that's slithery. But better she snapping me. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I hate mistakes be acting friendly. I hate mistakes act friendly. I saw I hate when snakes act friendly.
Ground Radio, we are back at it. Well, excuse me, I'm losing my mind today for some reason. I cannot get 2 sentences out without blabbering, without fumbling. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. That must be what it is, man. I don't know what's going on. It must be too much love. Not at all. He said it must be true. He said it must be true. No. Here, man, back at it. Another Thursday. We're here with our special guest this evening. It's funny how that worked out because I had another young lady who also has some not spoken word, but a book coming out real soon, and I couldn't get in touch with her. And then one of my friends, Brian Banks, he's been on here before, just called me out of the blue, or texted me out of the blue and was asking, and I was like, yep, I know, doing it again, Lord, that's what you do. So, here we are. And I want to make sure I say McKay. Naki, see. Okay, so point. Look, we're not going to talk about this because it's the same thing. You should be used to it by now. You should be used. So tonight we have Naki. Naki.
There we go.
How we go? Poet, author, educator, right here in Columbus, man. She currently has 2 spoken word albums out. One released 2010. The other one released 2014. Her book, Crown Morning Ride, is set to be released soon this year or even sooner. So we are very, very blessed to have her. And I'm not going to try and take the last name, but you definitely can. As a matter of fact, I really want you to because it's a very unique. I love your last name. So I won't do it justice if I say it for real. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Of course. As my 2 people laughed at me, I appreciate you. Welcome to the show. So, congratulations on what you've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
And just shed a little bit more light, I guess, first about just what it is that you have been doing as a poet or as an educator, and then kind of go into the book a little bit if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So, as you said, my name is Naki Acrobeto, and I'm born and raised here in Columbus, Ohio. Graduated from Gahanna Lincoln. Go Lions!
Go Lions!
Doing
your London Harris, huh?
You know what? I attribute my education to the Gahanna school system. I do. Just my desire to learn. I had amazing English teachers, and that's kind of what fueled my passion for writing. I really see that's why I'm here today. So
awesome.
I have two spoken word albums, In Strokes, and then A Timeless Miracle. And this latest collection of poetry is a poetic memoir about my life. And it really is like this narrative arc of taking relationships and life experiences and blending them together, of spirituality and sexuality and all of that kind of intersecting, and me coming into my identity. So that's what Crown Morning Gold represents, is like the awakening of Naki, who I see myself in the world, no longer seeing myself through the lens of other people, but finally seeing myself through the lens of myself.
Gotcha.
So, which is really important because so many people, so many of us grow up with this mentality that we have to be everything outside of ourselves to please people. We don't know who we are. We walk around just with all these facades, and so this was this peeling back many layers to really get to the core of who I was.
Okay, so what? How long? Like, was it? How was the process? Like, did you kind of right? Yeah, how was did you write stuff like 1 or 2 things down on a daily basis? Keep a journal? What? How was that?
That's a good question. Crown Morning Gold. So there's a couple of poems in here that are like over 10 years old.
Okay.
But the entire book as a collective or a collection of poetry, I started in my Master of Fine Arts program at Ashland University in January of 2013. I remember this day very vividly, the first day of orientation. Our director of the program, Stephen Haven, has said, this program is a really, strenuous program, and what we're asking you to do within the span of 2 years is damn near difficult, and I was just thinking to myself naively, writing, a book in 2 years is difficult, and absolutely. So I started January 2013. It's now March of 2018. That's about 5 years.
Yeah.
So 5 years that I've poured into this book.
Wow.
Some months spent away, just kind of stepping away from it, and then other months just diving deep and writing it. So I graduated in 2015, but I mean the whole gamut to get it from beginning to end, about 5 years.
Wow.
And speaking of that, when you put so much love into something, to a project, how do you know when you feel like it's really done?
So I appreciate going to school and really studying the craft of poetry. Like I don't use that term lightly that I'm a poet, because I feel like I've invested and learning about the craft. And one of the classes towards the end of my program taught us about how to order a manuscript, how to put it together, how to find the narrative arc, how to shape the poems to kind of feed off of each other. And you really don't know. I mean, there's many different methods to it. You can like take all the poems and toss them up and see how they land together.
Right.
You can take keywords out of poems and put them together. I think for me, what would let me know that this was finished was actually having other readers read it. And when they could pull out and describe exactly what they took away from the experience of reading it, that's how I knew, okay, what I was trying to get across in the poems as a collection has been accomplished.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
So do you go to spoken word events and things like that?
I do. I'm headed to one right after this.
Okay. So with that being said, what are you finding I guess the norm to be with most spoken word artists? Like what do you always see? And I'm sorry, it's a two-part question. And is that with you seeing the same thing over and over, is that a conflict in your opinion, or is that okay, maybe that's just what the wave, quote unquote, is right now?
Well, in all fairness, so I do go to open mics. I don't go to them as frequently as I used to, just because life happens. I'm a mom, I'm a wife now, just, and it comes in season.
Right.
But the first thing that came to mind when you asked that question was competition. Poetry to me, like the genre of spoken word, competitive, and they have slam, which it's not a lane that I necessarily am familiar with. I've never gone down that route with slam, and I know a lot of great people who have done phenomenal things with slam. But for me, it's a love language. I love words. I love putting words together, the juxtaposition of two things, and then making something beautiful out of it. The line, the structure, the stanza. So for me, I was talking to somebody earlier, like, what is the difference between poetry and spoken word? Is there a difference? What is that difference in the audience? It matters to the audience too. What does the audience want? Because you're not just writing for yourself.
Right. I understand. I'm with that.
So which one do you best go to?
So yeah.
So Wally Crowder is a known poet in Columbus, and he recently, I believe he moved back, or he recently started a new, not new, well, it's new to me, called the Poets Lounge at the Pelican Room. So it's every Thursday, and I'm actually going in support of a friend of mine. Shout out to Ani Malimu. He is the director of Pan-African Connections, and we are taking a group of students from my school to Ghana this summer.
Nice.
And so he is basically kind of doing a fundraiser to raise funds for students and their passports tonight from the event.
That is so
doing
fantastic.
Poetry related to the continent, so that's why he wanted me to come.
And what school do you work at?
I work at the Graham School.
Okay, I'm wondering it because this is completely personal, but my friend Latasha, Matthews, is taking over, and she was just talking about he was going back to Ghana. I know she was just telling me yesterday, and I was like, going to Ghana? That sounds amazing.
He's doing phenomenal. Shout out. This trip is kind of blown up. We were able to get the city to back it. I sit on the Accra's Columbus Sister City Committee. Accra, Ghana, was named the sister city to Columbus, Ohio. When Mayor Coleman was leaving office, he wanted to have an African city as a sister city to Columbus, and so he selected Accra. So there's a big initiative for businesses and partnerships with Accra, Ghana, and Columbus, Ohio. So with that background and my connection with that, there's a lot of movement going towards that.
Yeah.
So one of the things is a cultural exchange.
Are those excuse me, are those being like how aware are people about those things, or is it kind of quiet as kept on purpose? I mean, I don't.
It's not quite. I think it's new.
Just new. Okay.
We went on a trip. I went on a delegation trip with Mayor Ginther and Mayor Coleman in November of 2016, and so I think it's just trying to figure out which avenue to take first to really get some movement and momentum. And the first easiest way is to get students to go.
Right.
A cultural exchange. So I think as time grows, as time progresses, you know, the awareness of it will come.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as the book is concerned, when do you have is there a date for when it's being released?
So it is actually available now on Amazon.
Okay.
I just got the order of the books.
Okay.
A bulk of the books for me to sell at my book release. I'm having a book release. You are all invited.
When and where?
So it is March 18th, Sunday, March 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. And it is held at the Big Walnut Fraternal Orders of Eagle Facility, 16.
I know exactly.
Bryce Road.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
Wait, she said Bryce. That sounds like my side of town.
Yeah,
I love East Siders.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys some invitations.
I know exactly what
I have
you're
to
doing.
drive somewhere nasty to come to be a part of something.
That's awesome.
This is
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, good morning. There you go.
I love
Book
it.
launch party.
It must be that you're an educator. Oh, because you have no idea.
What school are you at?
I work at, pray for me, please. I work at Harrisburg Pike Community School. It's an Imagine school.
Okay.
And that's sums it up.
I said it all.
It means like this is me constantly dodging things being thrown, not necessarily at me, but around me, and spit and throw up and just defecation in sinks. No.
Elementary.
Oh yeah. 5th and 6th grade.
Oh
yeah.
I have a 6th grader.
See, I have a 6th and a 7th grader, but my kid, and as I suspect yours does, has some sense. And some of that, if they lose their sense. I'm serious. Like it is like these. I mean, not that I'm like, ooh, hit a kid, but like if a kid needs to be popped, pop a kid so they don't get popped by a gun. Boom, I solved the problem.
There you go.
I mean, to me, that's everything. Like, I mean, how much do you care about them for real? You don't want to punish them, and you wouldn't believe how many kids are. I mean, they turn up, girl. How many kids are coming in talking about, oh, my mom just got her tax money. Why is the kid celebrating tax money that they A, aren't getting, and B, but they are because they're like, we about to go get some shoes tonight? And I'm like, wasn't you suspended 2 days ago? Why are you getting shoes? My mom said I'm off punishment. Already? You got suspended from school for 3 days and you off punishment already and finna get some brand new shoes? Why? There's your problem.
That's what we like.
There it is. Rewarding food.
This is the world we live in.
It is.
Unfortunately.
It is, unfortunately.
And so, speaking of the fact that you're an educator,
yes.
I say let's bring up some real stuff. We were talking about the whole gun thing with guns in schools. I mean, how comfortable do you feel as an educator if they were to, and I'm not saying that they're going to pass this, nor that it's anyway, coming soon, but let's say they pass this law and we all get guns. How comfortable do you feel at performing your job with a gun?
Let me just put it this way. I'm already looking for something else. The fact that that's even on the table for consideration.
It's hurtful.
For me, it's hurtful and it's insanity. Because I'm so passionate about what I do and I know I have the ability to empower and inspire people and motivate them. It has really been challenging to work in a school. And I didn't go the education track, so I don't have my own classroom. My job title is a student support advocate. So I'm really there to help students learn how to advocate for themselves and to communicate well. My sanity matters more.
Right. Right.
And I'm reaching a point of, you can talk and talk and talk and talk and keep talking until at some point you have to step back a little bit and step away from it and not be so attached to it, because no matter what, there's going to always be disappointment. And for me, you will never, we were talking about being assertive. I just don't know if that's the way for me to be assertive, is to be strapped up.
Right.
I don't feel that way. And personally, it has never been something that I felt comfortable with. My father was an FBI agent, so guns was not a big deal to us. He had guns. We knew he had guns. We knew they were locked up. We knew what his job was. and we respected it. And my stepmom was an ABC officer, which is like alcohol and something else, drugs, some kind of specific officer, whatever, at one point. And then she ended up like later leaving the force once she had both my brother and my sister. But it pains me in a way that, I mean, he even took me shooting one year, and like it was supposed to be like a bonding thing, and I didn't hate it. I liked that I was with my dad, but I didn't like how it felt, and it worried me. And I mean, I guess I'm just that person, but you know, I'm good at most things that I learned to do. So if I want to be good at this, I will go be good at this. So if I want to be a sharpshooter, sure, I'll go learn and be a sharpshooter. But that's not what I wanted to do. I went to school and I picked a profession that I knew wasn't going to make me a lot of money, but it was supposed to bring me a lot of pride, a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. And all I'm confounded with every year is, oh, we're going to take more money out of education. Oh, teachers get paid too much. Oh, you know, let's give you all 50 bad kids because you're so good at fixing them. Like, to a point where it's like, I'm no longer using my skills. I am just babysitting. And then I am a what do you call it? Someone who just gives tests. I'm a test proctor all day. Right. Like, because you've decided that the kids need to be tested yet again. Oh, 2 weeks ago, test them again. When do you ever analyze any of the data to see that you're making progress, or that you've talked to that kid and found out his mom is on drugs and he's upset today, and you handed him another test? Sometimes, like, it just takes so much. You know, teaching just used to be so much more heart and less whatever they call it now.
Like you said, the pride
and then
thing.
on top of that, they devalue you and tell you you're not worth the money, the pittance. And I tell this to everybody. I put it on my Facebook page. The pittance that they give me, I'm not worth. But I spend my own money trying to get your kid to act right. So I'm like, will cupcakes do it? Shit, will chips do it? I'll buy him some slime, some prize box, some pencils. Oh, because when you went out to buy him them $200 Jordans, when you got your tax refund, nobody thought to buy this little nigga a notebook or some pencils, like that kind of shit. Like, it makes me, I get so to a point where I'm just like, why do I keep doing this? So this is my third time coming back to teaching in 7 years. I have taken breaks and come back. Taking breaks, oh, they get their lives together, I'm gonna come back. I miss it. I love babies. And I come back to it just to get some more foolishness. Oh, this is all about politics. Oh, now we're getting guns. Now I'm a police officer. I didn't realize I was a police officer. That's all I'm saying. And I don't want to be one.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure I'm probably the eldest in the room. So,
okay. I'll let you take that.
Well, absolutely. So, I guess prior to Reaganomics, we had a sense of community. So it wasn't about salary. You know what I'm saying? So basically, parents could parent other parents' kids. Mm-hmm. You know, even your teacher was like your surrogate parent, right?
Right.
We had more involvement with the pastor of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, Reaganomics brought about a selfish me thing. Well, what happened? It left a lot of kids out in the cold. It left a lot of kids disenfranchised and not having a sense of identity or self-worth. So therefore, now everything is personal. Everything is internal. Everybody's against you. You feel attacked. So even the kids at school, you know, now the snapping is more, you got to look at one of those, you know what I'm saying? Right. But you feel a lack of self-worth. So now you want to blame somebody. Now that blame turns to anger. So it's not just these, trench coat mafia cats that's angry. We're angry too.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we got all these fight videos? We're terrorists too.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like, but at the end of the day, what is that teacher that just wants to go back home to her family supposed to do when Latasha is wailing on her because she's angry? What am I supposed to do? Now they got video cameras, so if I strike Latasha, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But Latasha, my life is in danger. And the fight or flight response, you're being attacked. So, so I understand the agenda of protecting yourself. Guns may not be the answer, but the agenda of protecting yourself, I'm all for that.
I am too, and I'm so glad that you said exactly what you just said, because there was just an article that I read written by a Black woman who grew up. I believe she was saying Columbine was when she was in high school. That shit was crazy. Then you had the Virginia Tech. She was in college. That shit's crazy. It's getting crazier. Then she's a mother, and Sandy Hook happens, and her baby is 9 months old at this point, and her husband is a teacher and she is a teacher, and she is now has to think, not only am I worried about my husband life, my life, but now eventually I have to send my 9-month-old to kindergarten. Now fast forward, he is in kindergarten this year, this particular child. She showed pictures of her child, so proud, la la la, and she said, and she was feeling worried, but not worried as much until she saw the decree on Valentine's, no less, of the last shooting in Florida, and then Trump coming out and being like, all right, the problem is solved, we'll give all the teachers guns. Okay, one, that doesn't solve the problem at all. Now you've just put guns in the hands of teachers who are not trained to handle that type of responsibility. We're not. I speak to many teachers who, if they would just put one in the air, would be a lot better at their jobs. Let's keep it all the way 1,000. But they're uptight, they're angry, they're fed up, they're sick of crazy kids. Okay, if Latasha gets all in her face, is her next resort to pull out her gun and put it in Latasha's face? Latasha, while she should not be doing whatever she's doing, should not get a gun pulled on her. That is the scary part, because then it puts that same fear that we have about police officers who are angry or they stereotype us is going to be the same. Who are the majority of the teachers in this country? White women. And what do they love to claim? Oh, I was scared. Oh, I was afraid for my life. Who are they going to kill? Little black girls and little black boys, because we're aggressive and we're scary. And yeah, some of them are. Don't get me wrong. I just told you my school is off the chain. But it is also about you, how you feel about yourself. If you go in there and you're afraid of the children that you teach, you should not be teaching there. You shouldn't. You are not a good fit for that job. It doesn't mean that you're not a good teacher. It means you're not a good fit. You need to work in a community where the kids look like you. And that's all the way true. There's tons of, at the school that I work at, I am the only black teacher they have. And 95, it's not an exaggeration, of the children, 95% are people of color. And when you talk about how they can't relate, they can't relate. When your mom is talking to your dad, oh, we had a second grader today breaking up his breakfast and rolling it like a joint, and then took some sugar packets and was in the bathroom. Obviously, how does he know how to roll it? He's seen it. So these are things that these white teachers are not familiar with. They're like, oh my God, like, this is not their life. They drive back to Powell or Polaris or wherever they live, and they can't relate to these kids. And then it's going to be the next thing. I'm scared of my second grader, so I shot him. Like, I just think that it's going to create a bigger problem. And it's scary.
Right, I'll let you go on.
I think it's interesting, and I wonder at what point is this country going to sit down and have a conversation about relationships and just like relate, like, cultural competency and just things that matter. I think we miss culture here in America, in the sense of we think that everybody's here and just kind of blends into what American culture is, but that's not the case. And I think when you talked about that, a teacher who can go, I said that even in my school, we're located in Clintonville, and majority of the teachers live in Clintonville, but the majority of the population that we serve are from Linden. At what point are the teachers going to be aware of, the environment where these students come from and the things that they have been exposed to? There's a documentary that we watch called Resilience, and it's a really powerful documentary because it talks about childhood trauma and social emotional learning and all of these things that are important. I think even as adults, we need to talk about Donald Trump's social and emotional learning, like these things matter. And I don't think I think it's interesting that you brought up protecting yourself, because I was sitting here and I was like, how does Naki protect herself? My therapist even asked me that question, like, at what, like, who, she said in particularly, like, who, we need to examine the who and when and what is going to be able to protect Naki or care about Naki. Because me as a black woman, as a mother, as a wife, I don't ever consider myself first.
Mhm.
I don't know where this is going,
Can
but it's
I interject with that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to-
No.
Go
Good.
ahead. And that goes to both of your points. Miss Susie Burkhalter, who was sheltered all her life and just happened to be a teacher. What is it going to be like putting a gun in her hand? She's going to be like, what am I going to do with this? You know what I'm saying? So if you put a gun in the hand of a teacher who, that's not their lifestyle. That's not even something that they want to be a part of.
Right.
I totally believe, like you said, in the humanism of America. Even though we can become chaotic at times, we're not a third world country. So therefore, even if we do have chaos, we have some sort of resolve. Look at Ferguson. Look at the LA riots. Even though we did erupt, after a while, the calm, came after the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So I still believe in humanism. So even though this mass shooting and these mass shootings that continue to happen, but you can't blame a businessman for running the country like a business. This is how he learns to retaliate. I mean, he's a vicious person, and to rise to the heights that he has risen to, he's a very vicious person. So he has no humanism. I mean, basically everything is numbers. Fired. You're fired. Everything is either my way or the highway.
Right.
So I don't believe that we are being led by someone who has humanism in him. But we as a country, I still have the hope that we have humanism amongst us.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think the point that we can definitely go to break, but is they've taken so much out of education that what we're left with is gun shootings, and I guess give the teachers guns because they keep shooting at the school. So I guess that's all we got. But if we went back to if we rewind some years, we used to have a nurse in every school. All the
library.
Time. We used to have. And isn't that,
don't get me started. Don't get me started on
isn't
that.
a library like something that you thought was a part of a school? Because how else could children learn and research and become adults who have to learn and research? That is a rarity in most schools. Counselor. When was the last time you heard someone talk about a damn guidance counselor? Apparently, that's also me. I am the teacher. I am the guidance counselor. I am the tutor. I am the babysitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am doing so many roles, but yet you're paying me for half of one role and then telling me that I'm not doing a good job. And then telling me you're going to base it on some test scores. And then you're going to tell me based on what? That I should be doing better based on the no resources that you gave me, the fact that I spent the pittance that you gave me back on my kids that are then breaking it up, losing it up while their parents is out here buying them Pokemon cards and the latest PS4 game. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's painful. It's a painful position to be in when you say you'd rather give me a gun rather than give me a guidance counselor that can talk to these kids and mentor them about mental health. I already know you're ridiculous. I already know that you don't care. I know that this is just something else you're going to pretend solves the problem so you can be friends or continue to be friends with your gun buddies. And it's painful and it's upsetting, and I don't know what else to do with it other than leave the profession again. But at the same time, it's like, how does that help the kids that I've been reaching?
That you leave behind.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break, man. Obviously, it's a sensitive subject, but it's something that needs to be talked about because it doesn't get talked about enough. So we'll be right back, man. All right, Breaking Ground Radio.
On the chick when I order one more round of dark liquor. I think dark liquor's the best. Oh shit, is this nigga taking on me? I hope she says yes, but there's just so much love in the air right now, bartender, right now. Pop a shot so I could be gone, so I could leave here before the DJ plays a song, so nobody else could wonder why the pretty girl's alone. I hope you know that when you ain't in love, this month can fucking suck. Now let the church say let the church say. Let the church say, I would try to hold your hand through these times, but I can't. I mean, aren't you supposed to be sure you're the man? And I can't feel sorry for you, you had your chance. See, I'm currently crawling, I can't abuse it. I'm not being me, I'm just sure you'll find a way to see my face, however you can. I'm not being me, if you miss me, you know where to find me. My last post on Instagram. Now watch me smile for the camera. Smile, go out for the camera. Wow, watch me dance for the camera. Jason, watch me smile for the camera. I hope you find a way to smile. I would normally nurse you back to life like the baby you are. The only problem is ain't no cures for your broken heart. Maybe one day you'll thank me for leaving you here in the dark. I would like to believe you'll be fine, as fine as you are. I'm not being me, I'm just sure you'll find a way to see my face, however you can. I'm not being me, if you miss me, you know where to find me. My last post on Instagram. Now watch me smile for the camera. Smile, go out for the camera. Wow, watch me dance for the camera. Jason, watch me smile for the camera. I hope you find a way to smile. I know how this goes. You told me you love me. You told me you chose. You told me we could stay here, right here in this love. And I believe this is ours, and I believe this is us. I know one day, even though you told me that you love me, you gon' tell me that you need a break. Break. I know one day, yeah. Even though you're rushing up beginning, you gon' tell me that I need a way. How am I supposed to wait if I can't wait till I see your face? I can't give you space if I want you inside my space. So if you ever feel the need to walk away, just don't call it a break, 'cause it might just stay that way. No breaks. No gas, baby, 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 no breaks. It's a story of a man. A man my homegirl used to know. He used words like I loved you. Like they were toys you just throw. I was so only yeah was.
Don't you mean she?
Don't matter who it was, boy, listen up. I only brought it up cause it was singular. When I tell you I know one day, even though you told me that's what I need, don't tell me that you need a break. I know one day, yeah. Even though you're rushing at the beginning, you gon' tell me that I need a way. How am I supposed to wait if I can't wait to just see you? I can't give you space if I don't know it's not your say. So if you ever feel the need to move away, just call it a break, cause it might just stay that way. No breaks. No gas, baby, no brakes. No gas, baby, no brakes. Listen up. No gas, baby, no brakes. No gas, baby, no brakes.
Boogie Ground Radio, it's man DJ Swante, man. That was No Breaks. Before that was Smile, and the first one was This Month. Those are all on Mila J's new EP. The EP is actually called February 2018. It came out on the 20th last month. There's 3 more songs to go that we'll get through before the end of the show. Like I said, I definitely want to play it in its entirety. It is a Fleet DJ stamped project. So, shout out to Mila J and all her success with that EP. So I wanted to make a quick point before, I know we have to get out of here soon, but I'm glad that everyone, the 3 of you in Lane Love, shout out to Lane Love, DJ Lane Love, who had to leave, were able to get your points across about such a sensitive subject. My points will probably tag pretty much everyone points, but I just kind of wanted to say it in my own words, and that is just we lost the relationship between the parent and the kid, first of all. And then we also lost the relationships between the parents and the teachers. I am a firm believer that the kids act the way they do because their parents don't teach them. They don't care to teach them. They're too busy being self-involved in their own life, whether they had them too young or they were still immature or they want to, whatever the case may be, the kid gets the short end of the stick. When, in my opinion, as a father of 3, with my kids, one of my goals is to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that I made, whether it been in school or in life or whatever. So I try to teach them how to, be respectful and be somewhat of an outstanding human being as they get older, and how to respect elders and, all of that good stuff, the way that I was brought up. We couldn't begin to talk back to our elders before getting a slap in the mouth. We could not look like we were getting ready to say anything. I'm from the South. We could not give an eye. We better not look you in your eye, or else that was it. We're going to lose an eye. And it never happened, but the fear was put in us. Now the kids ain't got no fear. They don't. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no respect for anyone who has been on this earth longer than you. I tell my oldest all the time, she's 12. When she gets flipped, I said, nobody even knows you yet. Nobody even knows you. You've been here 12 years. Nobody knows you. I go and ask anybody if they know who Ashley is, and all going to say no. So you have to grow up and earn those types of respect. You have to earn people to say, yes, I know I know who Ashley is. I know blah, 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 blah. Is they're X, Y, and Z. Until you can do that, you have no say-so. You have no opinion. You have no way to do things. We went back. She got mad at me because I wanted her to help her do something. I forget what it was. And she was like, my other 2 wanted to help instead. I was like, no, this is between me and Ashley. And she was like, well, why do I have to do it? I said, she said, why do I have to do it? I was like, you don't want to help her? She's like, no, I want to be left alone. I said, well, you don't get left alone in my house. There is no being left alone. If I tell you to do something, you better damn well get up and do it. So And that's because I know that's the kind of stuff that her friends talk about at school, and that's how they talk to each other, and that's all right. But when you come to the house, you know, there's none of that goes, none of that matters. So if you instill that stuff at the house, when they get to school, they'll have some of that same respect. And then with the parents and the teachers, you know, the parent always, some of the parents, especially nowadays, they probably think, I know they think that the teacher can't tell them how to raise their kid. You can't tell me how to raise my son. You can't tell me how to raise, you can't tell me what I don't already know about my kid. So there's nothing you can say that's going to make me be like, well, really? Oh, okay. Because they figure they know it all about their own son. And I get the being Brody about, you know, your kids and standing up for your kids and all that stuff. I understand that, but you got to understand the position you're currently in. You're in a place where another adult wants to see your child succeed probably more than you do. So they're just concerned. They know your kid can do better than what they're doing. And 9 times out of 10, the teacher's not coming at the adult disrespectful. They're just saying, hey, you know, Joe Blow is doing this. He's talking like this. I don't understand. Usually blah, blah, blah. That doesn't give you the reason to say, oh, no, not my son. You know, so if the teacher doesn't have their parent support, you know, the teacher only sees them, you know, 8 days, 8 hours, you know, 5 days a week. You got the kid all the time. Right. You know, so for the little bit of time that the teacher has, and the good teachers out there who want to make the best out of those 8 hours, it behooves the parent to try and support their teacher in the best way possible, and that's not happening at all. I know all 3 of my kids' teachers, all 3 of them. I know them all. And when they see me coming into school to get them, hey, Mr. Saul, blah, 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 you know, Emily did this, or Neil did that, or yada, 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 you know, and if there's something wrong, we talk right then and there. I don't want to wait till a parent conference. We talk right then and there, you know. So I said all that just to say that I wish a lot of those relationships would still be stronger, and I think that would help, you know, eliminate a lot of the things that are happening. You know, because then the kid might actually feel like somebody loves them. You know, there's always somebody yelling at them, telling them what to do, what not to do, and blah, blah, blah. If you know, try to just show a little compassion, some care and concern, and let them know that, hey, I believe in you. I know you can do this. I know you can do that. Then they might just think twice when they see that gun, or they might come to you and say, listen, this is what I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? Instead of just being in that room with some music that is no help and only fueling the fire, and then they go and they pick up their gun when all they had to do was talk to that counselor that's not there, you know, a parent or a teacher or something. I agree. I really wish they kept all that in school too. The librarian, the counselor, you know, people to talk to. But it is terrible.
Specials, terrible. Art, like music,
all of that
like
stuff.
I mean, it's all together ridiculous.
Clearly made it
how they want to even have
what's important. We clearly made it known.
I wonder why they're crazy and why they're not as smart as the kids. Other countries, they don't have recess. They don't have art, music. Like what? Like they do plenty of things.
Where can people follow you? If you want to give the information about the book release again, just in case someone missed it, all that good stuff.
So you can follow me. I'm on Facebook, Naki Acrovetto. That's spelled Naki, last name AKROBETTOE. I also have an artist page, just Naki, all caps, NAKI. Naki Speaks on Instagram and on Twitter. And then I have a website, www.nakispeaks.com. And so once again, yes, the book release party is March 18th from 1 to 4. That is 1623 Bryce Road, Reynoldsburg, Ohio, 43068.
Okay.
And that is the Big Walnut Fraternal Order of Eagles facility. And I'm excited. And before I leave, I just wanted to actually like give you guys a little small poem.
Hey, oh, definitely. Hey.
So I will read this poem just in honor of the living, which is about. But I want to read this quote. Like, so there's a picture in the front of the book. I got a chance to meet Lauryn Hill about 2 years ago, and I got to share a poem with her, with me and a friend that we had done together, and she just told me never quit. Like there was something special that I had, and she also said her best friend's name was Naki, which was ironic. But this quote says, "I was a young woman with an evolved mind who was not afraid of her beauty or her sexuality. For some people, that's uncomfortable. They didn't understand how female, strong work together, or young and wise, or black and divine." There's a quote by Lauryn Hill, and this is a poem from Crown Mourning Gold called "In Honor of the Living." My daddy's friends call me John's daughter, reminding me that in Columbus, Ohio, I share my father's identity like a rented video game in the Ghanaian community. On most days, he is dressed in his most elaborate dashiki. On Sundays, his humility is the scent of Bengay, Old Spice, and baby oil. With his Bible in tow, he scrambles through the mail in search of his keys, sets out for his church and his next adventure. My father dislikes his iPhone, but will answer every ring. I, his third-born child, half American and Ghanaian, am most proud when he answers each call in our native dialect, a hybrid Krobo English, Kejilake. Hello, how are you? When I became a parent, I treasured moments in his presence. We danced together, and after dancing, I sat closely by his brown suede chair to gaze at the stretch of his smooth, unwrinkled skin. An inner laugh always escaped my quiet body as he sat comfortably in his robe, watching Channel 10 and rubbing bare feet together like sandpaper. He interrupted his newspaper readings with childhood stories, like this time his right eye was permanently damaged by a rock thrown into the bleachers at a track meet when he was in boarding school in Accra. But you see, there are three things I can always count on when I visit 1115 Rosewood Avenue: being asked if I brushed my teeth that morning, cooking a pot of stew and rice, and listening to high life music reaching to each corner of our home.
That was so nice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Snaps.
Wow, yeah.
Thank you.
And is that a true depiction of your father?
That is
Sounds like a good man.
You know, my dad is known to everybody. I mean, he's not perfect, but
Right.
I mean, he's a very well respected man in the community.
Yeah, he sounds strong for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds strong. Well, thanks for sharing that. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
And I named it in honor of the living because for so often I see people paying homage and honor to people after they die.
Yeah.
And my father's still living, and so I wanted to honor him while
Absolutely.
he's still living.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think he's heard this one. No.
Okay.
So he will get to hear it.
He'll be grinned out, I'm sure.
Yeah. I want to say thank you both for allowing me to come on.
I'm so glad you came.
We can stay in contact.
I would
Absolutely.
love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely do. Like I said, we're going to make all attempts to come to the book launch party. But if not, we will definitely make sure that we continue to talk about it throughout the next, it's next week, isn't it? Like the 18th?
It's
Is that
in
next
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, okay. Yes, this is the first, okay. Yep, so we'll plug that on. And yes, we definitely want to stay in contact. You are more than welcome to come back.
Thank you.
Anytime. We'd love to have you again. And so everybody, one more time, let's give you a hand clap and some cheers.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I know. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come right back because I do want to get into that food stamp thing a little bit before we get off the air. So the next three, I'm just going to play them all three because they're short. It's an EP, they're short songs. The songs following are called Congrats, Imagine That Ride Home, and then In Hindsight, which is a duo with a young male artist called My Ex.
Who is this?
This is Myla J.
Okay.
Yep, this is Myla J. So we played the first three. This is the last three here. Like I said, they're all short songs because it's an EP style, but it's actually out now, so you can go and get it yourself. The album is called February 2018. It came out on the 20th of February. Thank you very much.
I'm so excited.
Breaking Ground Radio, here we go. Awesome. Oh, this is this.
That's the first one.
I almost never do romance. I tried it 99 times, but it never really stood one chance. I'd rather chill with you like one of the homies. I always hated holding hands. With all that money you'll be touching, what will make you think I hold your hand? I'd rather play games with you like one of the homies. So past that controller, who you gonna pick? If I say the Lakers, I know that you'll say the Knicks. 4-minute quarters, 8-minute halves. Congratulations, I beat your ass. If you like a girl who comes her own gas, then congratulations, you met your match. I almost never cuddle up. I mean, if we just fuck, and I mean we just fuck, but I don't like doing too much. I'd rather chill with you like one of the homies. I can say bye before I hang up. I mean, if we just talk, and I mean we just talk, I really don't like doing too much. I'd rather smoke with you like one of the homies. So pass me the roller, cause it's your turn to crush. I know if I pick sativa, we gon' smoke in the club. $50 quarters, 10 off for the half. Congratulations, I could move past. If you like a girl who pumps her own gas, congratulations, you met your match. Imagine that ride home. He pulls up for the tree with only 2 seconds left. The Tigers need this one for the win. Yo, that was everybody screaming, shoot it. Yo, that was the coach saying, don't be afraid to go. So that's when he shot his shot, and very hard in a whole spot stop like. Imagine that ride home, working hard and all alone. Imagine that ride home, 'cause baby, that's how you make me feel. Imagine that ride home. She's the first one to the office, she's the last one to leave. She's trying to get promoted to VP. Yo, that was her assistant saying good luck. Yo, that was the boss saying, okay, here we go. And right before they give away the job, very hard and a whole spot stop like. Imagine that ride home. And all alone, imagine that ride home. That's how you make me feel. Imagine that ride home. And all alone, imagine that ride home. Baby, that's how you make me feel. Here I go falling in love again, 'cause I'm trying to stand up again, but I keep hearing the sound. She's singing I'm going down, and my whole world's upside. Niggas stop bitches, they saying everybody got 'em. But baby, I don't think we got 'em. Do we got 'em? We don't got 'em. Cool. Cause if somebody got 'em, yeah, what's gonna be the problem? These memories, I could tell you every single word we ever said when we were falling in love. Now I'm talking about us like a memory. I wish we were more like one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause we get better with time. I thought of going to the club again, because I thought that turning up again would keep me from that sound. She's singing, I'm going down, and my whole world's upside down to the same place, married we. Could you believe I thought we would get married we? Did we get married? No, we didn't. The only vows we ever said are the ones we never kept in these memories. I can tell you every single word we ever said when we were falling in love. Now I'm talking about us like a memory. I wish we were more like one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause we get better with time. With time. Things get better with time. With time. Let the church say. Let the church say. Let the church say. Let the church say.
Breaking ground.
You just like the way I said
I did. I got goosebumps.
Stupid.
Breaking ground radio, man. We are back at it, man. 7:30 already, man. Time really does go by, man. Another shout out to to DJ Lane Love. Another shout out to our featured guest of the evening.
Nikki.
Very, I lost the word I was going to use, but thank you, Nikki, for stopping in. We really do appreciate that.
Awesome.
She really was.
It's so funny. Like, I mean, every single time we have a guest, we're like, oh, you're so awesome. But, like, we be so serious. Like,
yeah.
Like, they were really amazing. It isn't funny. Like, it's like we live in Columbus and we talk about, like, you think you see the same people over and over, but there's so many phenomenal people doing phenomenal things that you didn't even know.
And that's why, and you know, that's why I'm glad that we were able to have this platform, because of what I said earlier. You know, even the people that we already know, it has introduced us to some even more dope folks.
Yeah,
you know, and just the domino effect has just continued to fall in that positive direction, and that's great. We could not be any happier. And let me say this while it's fresh on my mind. I know I haven't posted anything since I put it up, but I'm going to try and do something either tonight or tomorrow. The last Thursday of March, we're having an open house. So for anybody who has not had the opportunity to come to Breaking Ground Radio, or if there's somebody who's just curious to be in a station or curious to get in front of a mic and talk about you for 5 minutes, then it'll be open for you from our show hours from 6 to 8 on, I think it's March, it's the last Thursday, whatever Thursday that is, March 29th. Which is 4 weeks away from here. So I know we've gotten a lot of people that said they were coming already. And then after that, we're going to go upstairs and just continue to have a networking event, ceremony. There'll be music, we'll be up there for just an hour. Nothing big, nothing big. But we wanted to open our doors because I know a lot of people we haven't had a chance to have on the show yet. And I don't know about you, Timmy, but I get inquiries all the time. It's gotten to the point where I can't even answer because I don't have an answer for them for one, because just the way that we schedule our guests, and we have such a short show that we can't have 2, 3. We've had 2, but sometimes that's even challenging. That's a have. So 29th will be an opportunity, man. Come and talk to people you know and don't know. Come kick it with us. We'll be sitting in these same chairs, and we'll have 3 spots for you to spend 5 minutes to talk about what it is that you do. You can get on live, Facebook, Instagram, do whatever you want to do. It's going to be open for you. So with that being said, I definitely want to get into the next topic real quick before we get off the air, because it's for somebody who's been on and off of that. Have you been on that before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You have it up. Go ahead and.
So basically, what we're talking about is Trump is, stating that he wants to cut the budget for food stamps, but I listened to a different spin of it, and I sent that video clip to you on the way here, and I appreciated the way. Better. I could still feel like it was a Republican spin, but I still appreciated that it highlighted some other reasons other than 45 doing 45. Whether that's true or not, is whatever. But basically, in the video, it stated that so what they want to do with the food stamp program is, which is pay. I want to say they said it was like $70 billion is paid out of taxpayer money.
$70 billion.
I'm pretty sure that was the figure. It was a crazy number. Was paid for out of tax dollars for people to have food stamps. And there was some horrible video from some white woman who had a cat or something, and she was like legit making fun of the fact that she had food stamps and they were paid for by taxpayers. And she even went so far as to say by people making minimum wage.
Wow.
Of course, everybody pays into taxes.
Of course.
And they take a percentage of your check, whether your check is $5 or your check is $500. So she was bragging about how her taxpayer food stamps had provided her with lobster that she was feeding to her cat. That she was preparing fresh lobster for her cat and being like, thank you, taxpayers. Thank you, minimum wage earners, for this. Like, she was being, like, I don't even know how you describe that, because A, I'm trying to figure out how you got food stamps, and B, if you have food stamps, why you're so stupid.
Right. Right. That's what I'm here thinking.
To be brazen and mean when there are people who legit have elderly people they care for, or they have, someone with special needs, or they have kids, or shit is just run of the bad luck, and you are in between jobs, and yes, you would also like to eat and pay your rent. It is absolutely atrocious and disgusting that this woman made this video. So for whatever reason, this suddenly has sparked everybody's fury. Rather than being mad at this one particular woman, they decided to look at the whole program as a whole. Now, keep it all the way 1,000. Does everybody know somebody who gets food stamps and they use their food stamps for the turn up or the barbecue that everybody is coming to? Absolutely. Everybody knows that person. But what we fail to recognize is that if they're using that money on the family barbecue, they're still using their real money to buy the rest of their groceries. Right. So either way, if they spend all their money on steak and lobster, which you should not give a fuck about, because that just means their money is shorter than my money. If I'm over here eating tuna and green beans, obviously I'm getting more tuna and green beans, and this bitch is getting and one steak and one lobster.
Right.
I don't know why you care. She is a fool and she will be hungry. Like, but I guess the idea is that everyone has so heavily abused the program and people are selling their food stamps. So instead of you having all this money, like a good $300 and you go shop or whatever, instead the government is now going to send you a box of food, a box of approved food or whatever. It's still going to be your standard things that you're able to get, cereal, peanut butter, blah, 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 vegetables, fruits, whatever.
Terrible.
But here's what I did like was that the other part, half of the money is that way and half of it is, still the cash the way that you're used to it. Because I guess, some things I'm just not going to know what you need versus what I need.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking at first. I was like, how would you know? Right.
Food I eat
right.
versus my neighbor eats.
Right. Everybody doesn't have the same diet.
Allergies are, with my religious restrictions are, what my diet restrictions are. Absolutely. So I guess that's the point as to why it's not just a box of food. But the other thing that I did appreciate was, or the way they explained it, whether this is true or not, was that the reason why they're thinking about this is because the consumer, the customer, the food stamp recipient is paying retail prices. So they're paying Giant Eagle prices, they're paying Meijer prices, Kroger prices, or if you're smart, you're going to Aldi prices. But instead, this government portion will be, what do you call prices? Wholesale prices. Mm-hmm. So they'll get it directly from the factory and be able to ship it. So instead of that box of cereal being $2, it might be 50 cents.
Right.
So this is the part where how it saves taxpayer money, because the taxpayer is still paying that money out, but rather than paying the lump sum, they're paying less of that money, and some of it's going to cash and some of it is going towards this box food. And it's supposed to be like they equated it to like Blue Apron. So it's supposed to be like a healthy box of food that you can prepare a meal out of, not just like government block of cheese,
right?
And calling that.
I remember that. My grandmother used to get that block of cheese.
I remember seeing it once.
Man,
but it seems
that was
so
the roughest cheese
the types
ever.
of things they were giving back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
why are you just giving people a block of cheese?
Yeah.
Why?
And
why is that?
I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it was the same everywhere else.
Why black people's macaroni and cheese is so cheesy, because we got used to that.
That was the only thing that cheese was good for. I mean, it was literally the worst cheese ever, but it made a mean ass mac and cheese. It really did. We got my grandmother used to get, and like I said, we live in New Orleans, so I don't know if it was different anywhere else, but I assume it would be. She got a block of cheese. She got a box of farina, which was like grits.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I love grits.
And she got, me too. And she got, what else did she get? Milk, of course. And she got a loaf of bread and some other stuff. But it wasn't a lot of stuff. It really wasn't. Now I don't know if, again, I was a kid, so I don't know if the whole how many in the household thing still mattered and everything. But I always thought that, man, this is it. Like, you get the block of cheese, like that's all you can make. You couldn't slice it and put it on the bread. It was too fucking thick.
Really?
It was too thick. No matter how you cut it, it was thick.
No, I bet that's why everybody had
those little things as well.
That cut the cheese.
Yeah. And it was still thick. Even with that.
Because I remember as a kid using that to cut the Velveeta block. Mm-hmm. And that was before, that was after the whole, everybody got that government block of cheese.
Yeah.
And we were still buying Velveeta.
Yeah, so I make this point before we get out. We got about 7 minutes. I don't know. I try to look at both sides. I get why they're wanting to change the policy of food stamps, because there are people out here selling food stamps. There are people out abusing it. Don't need $600 worth of food stamps, and there's 2 people living. I mean, I get that. I get all of that. But I fail to believe that there are that many people doing that more than the people who really need $600 and really uses it to feed their family or to feed their families. I mean, I'll be 100. You know, we used to get $6 something, and we would divide it up between us and our extended family. But we were all family. We were all under the same household, so it made sense. So, you know, I just think that it's just one of those good has to suffer for the bad type things. And it sucks when you're doing that for a country like this because there's billions of people in it. And there's millions of people who are doing right by that card. You know, and everything. The box thing, I'd have to see that. I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I would have to see it
first.
See that it's actually
I'd have to
legit
see
shit that you would want to have.
Yeah, I'd have to see that. I mean, cool, you're giving us half the money to get our own, but if the stuff in the box is, because think about it like this too. There's people who take pride in couponing. So you're taking the couponing thing out of their shopping experience with that box. Or at least you're cutting it in half, you know, because again, those who took the money and did right with it still use coupons. Mm-hmm. They still use it because they tried to make that monthly money last.
Especially when Kroger started putting out them, they see what you buy and they send you coupons.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah.
Hell
yeah. So that made sense.
Free. Oh.
Hell yeah! It's like a buy 5 get 1 free. Yeah. Because I mean, for those who are economy sound, you know what I mean. You know, those are the things you look forward to. You look forward to the coupons. You look forward to the magazine of coupons that came in the mail. You look forward to all of that because that is how you saved your money. That is how you got the most out of your money. And to see that go away, I just think is unfair. I think it's unfair, you know, for those idiots. It's just same with Katrina. You know what I mean? When that FEMA check started rolling in, motherfuckers didn't go and buy a car and a house. They went to the mall and bought Gucci and Prada. Nigga, you ain't got a place to stay. But you buying Prada? Bitch, you got a new purse and you ain't got... Your hair is a mess. When the next time you gonna go to the... I mean, you gonna wear that? Where you gonna wear that? Right. You know, we got 3. Well, most people that I know got 3. I got 3. The first one I used for a car with the CarMax, put a down payment on the car, so now I was mobile again. And I think I might have told my ex who I was living with at the time, I'm sure I gave her like rent money or stuff for the house. When the second one came around, I put a lot of it in the bank, but I also went and bought new stuff for myself, and that was only because I really left New Orleans with just a duffel bag of the weekend stuff. So the only reason why I had what I did have was because her mom gave us a credit card to use so that I can get stuff before the FEMA started rolling in. But once it did roll in, yeah, I did go to the mall. I did go and get some stuff for myself, but that was after I took care of the priorities. You know what I mean? That's after that. You don't, as soon as the check comes in, you don't do run to the mall and you got 6 bags and you're on the bus. And I guess where the fuck you gonna take your 6 bags at?
And I guess that is how it just goes to show how people deal with trauma differently. Like, I mean, I can only imagine how horrific that situation was. But yeah, you right. It is an opportunity to start over, and that's hard.
Yeah, that is definitely hard. Next week, I don't know what we got going on next week just yet, but you know, you guys out there, I know this. It's been rough. It's been rough on both sides. You know, you've been really busy. I've been really busy. But you know, we still appreciate. I know that the content in the social media has died a tad.
Yeah, we'll get that back together.
But we will get that back together. I was looking at it today. I was like, it's been a while since it's been consistent.
Normally,
yeah, but you know, it's. You know, there's a lot of other things going on, good things for the most part, you know. But this is our baby. This isn't going anywhere as long as I can help it. And so, yeah, we'll get back at it. But we appreciate everybody that is still rocking with us. Appreciate everybody that's still wanting to be on the show, that's wanting to send songs to our email at our breakingground.radio@gmail.com. And all of that. So we're coming up on the year, and I have Tiffany. I'll put you up on this too when we get off the air. I have an idea for the anniversary show as well in June. Okay. So we'll talk about that. So yeah, so one thing, DJ, man. That's all I got to say, man. See y'all next week. Right? Bye, Tiffany. Bye.
Yeah, peace out. Good week.